Okay, so I want to talk about Oregon's Measure 110. This was something that came up in the election just recently, and Oregon passed Measure 110, which decriminalizes certain street drugs. I want to talk to you about what this actually means, both for Oregon, federally, and for the state of Florida. Well, first, let's talk about Measure 110, and it basically reclassifies personal, non-commercial drugs such as heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class E violation, which means it's a civil infraction resulting up into a $100 fine. It's a non-criminal infraction, and you could be assessed with a health assessment. Now, I don't know so much about the specific law and what would happen after, possession more than one or two times. If that goes back to a misdemeanor or perhaps even a felony. But what's important to know here is that this is a major change in thinking. In the 80s, we had the war on drugs that criminalized all of these drugs and made them felonies. And basically, people who had addictions went from people who had an actual problem to now becoming felons. This is the kind of path that will hopefully get help for people who need it. I know there's both sides to the argument. Now we're just letting drug addicts be drug addicts and they're going to kill themselves because there's going to be no consequence. I don't necessarily feel like that is necessarily the stance that has to be had with particular to this measure. What this is a proving ground to see what works, much in the same way that Colorado and California opened the doors and opened people's eyes to medicinal marijuana than to recreational marijuana, because we're now seeing the results after 10 or so years worth of work to see what kind of impact that has. And one of the impacts, and I think it's the same as part of Measure 110, is that the decriminalization of it means that a lot of people who have an addiction problem, or in the case of marijuana, they had a charge for it. They're no longer deemed a criminal. They can get out from having that stigma of being a criminal that just can compound and make things absolutely worse. So now this doesn't mean that you can actually use these drugs in Oregon and not have any kind of federal penalty, because these are still controlled substances under federal law, and if the U.S. government wants to take aim at that, they can still make it illegal. It is still illegal. So it's not time to start using cocaine just simply because it's legal in Oregon, because there still could be a lot of potential problems. Also, selling it, it's not going to provide a defense for selling cocaine or heroin or anything like that. Those are still illegal, and it's probably still a felony there. But it's just going to give the user or someone who is suffering from an addiction an opportunity maybe to get themselves clean, maybe not have that stigma with them following them around for the rest of their lives. Also, it might give a measure, and I'm not exactly sure on it, for those who are currently incarcerated to maybe back out some of their time or get some clemency with regards to any kind of charge like that. So how might that affect Florida? Well, like I said, we looked at California and Colorado for kind of models on how medical marijuana and recreational marijuana has come into play. Florida's got, obviously, medical marijuana. I wouldn't be surprised, not in the too distant future, that we have recreational marijuana here, as it's went legal in many other states recently. So I could see that happening, and if Oregon is successful in helping treat the disease of addiction, we could see that here as well. So if you want to know more about drug possession charges in Florida, or you want to know what you can do if your loved one's been arrested for drug possession, visit our website or download my book, My Loved One's Been Arrested, What's Next? It's available on our website, or you can click the link below.